So, as previously mentioned, welcome to Office Hours. This is just our little weekly get together where we talk about all things Butterfly's AI, the future of it, what's going on with it currently, known bugs and issues, and basically how the community is feeling at the moment. Um, as I was just mentioning to the couple of members we have attending today, we do have some of the same known bugs still going on, such as regenerating or refining images may fail silently without an error message, and unfortunately without a known workaround. Creating profile pictures and regenerating them more than twice can trigger the beep boop bop error, which would reset the creation flow back to the beginning. Generating images in direct messages is unfortunately currently unreliable due to high queue times and wait times. That is something that we have been working on in the background quite a bit, and unfortunately it's just being a little bit more persistent than any of us would like. Poking a butterfly may result in an error that states something went wrong. Refunds for those errors should occur automatically within 1 hour. Please contact a moderator if they don't. You can contact us via Discord, via Reddit, or even via email on the website. New posts may show some fewer comments for a while still. A lot of butterflies are remaining paused. This change that happened a couple of weeks ago that paused all of the butterflies is meant to actually help ImageGen get a lot more reliable, and I believe it's been working personally. I'm able to poke mostly reliably on, well, the semi and drawing models, but the realistic model still has some issues with generation times. Memories are still incorrectly displaying I cannot create explicit content when using the mature filter. You can manually edit the memory via mobile web to resolve that issue. It's basically just a parser error, and it is not reflective of the actual content of the conversation itself. I'm doing my best to figure out how to get that resolved, but first things first is definitely image gen, as that is something that a lot of people have been talking about. As I'd previously mentioned as well, a couple of our developers are off on vacation for the rest of the week, and they'll be back on Monday. So fixes may be a little bit slower this week, and for that I sincerely apologize. Honestly, they deserve it though. We've been working odd hours, long hours, trying to get everything up and running for everyone, and they deserve that time off. So I really hope that they can get it to the best of their ability, But for now, honestly, what I'd really like to talk about is how we can improve the butterfly creation flow and the creator suites and the tools that are available to creators that have been with us for this past over year and a half now, right? A lot of our tooling for creators is frankly very basic. We have an initial prompt box, a personality trait selection that's about 40 to 80 tokens, I believe, and a couple of boxes that are 2,000 tokens apiece for the personality and the background. So that, in and of itself, that isn't a bad way to start creating AIs, okay? Do not get me wrong there. But I feel like that in itself could be improved. The way that the personality traits are handled on the UI front, them each being in their own separate bundle, I feel like it would be better if we turned that back into a box instead of, a bubble that you have to manually enter a new one each time. A lot of information going into that section, it's really helpful for keeping Butterfly more consistent. And that's not just in images or posts, but in direct messages as well. Another thing that I would really like to see changed is the base template that we have for butterflies. I discovered that prompting the personality with you are statements or I am statements tends to have a lot more consistence of personality come through in the chat. You're fine, Asa. It's fine. This things like that are actually why we record office hours. So if you have to go at any point in time, feel free to leave and just pick us up on YouTube. I have the episode up every Wednesday night by 5 p.m. Central. Um, so, yeah, don't worry about that. The main thing that I really feel is missing, though, from the Butterflies Creation Suite is the ability to actually organize our butterflies. It's literally just a list of butterflies that we created in creation order. Roscoe, there were voices on Butterflies bots about, I would say, a year ago now as a limited test. Um, there are plans in the future for bringing them back. Has the odds of butterflies going to a computer application? Okay, so Asa, I don't believe that there's going to be a standalone application for computers. Like there is a standalone app for iOS and there was a standalone app for Google Play. The best way to get a kind of standalone experience is to install the web app using Microsoft Edge, Opera, or Chrome. I'm not sure if Firefox supports the web application kind of feature set. And I think Brave does have the feature set as well. You can definitely visit us on our website. Are you mainly a mobile user? Okay, hang on a moment. I don't think you understand quite what that we have a website. Okay. So we do have a desktop version website. It does not have all of the same features as the mobile version, such as the refined flow, the daily challenges, the ability to create clones. One thing that'll never be on desktop, I'm almost certain, is the ability to create clones, as clones are definitely tied to the device having a camera, and not all computers have cameras, right? So that will definitely be a mobile exclusive. However, the rest of it, I feel, really would be well, really would do well on the desktop version. Asa, as I was just mentioning to Roscoe, about a year ago now, we had a test run for Voices for Characters, where they would generate voice clips in response to text prompts. It wound up being, I would say, a middling success. The reason I say that is the users actually ended up breaking one of the voices. Oh, there is my meter, like I said. Sorry about that. The users wound up breaking one of the voices by overusing it too much. Like, the API just refused to continue calling the voice. So we will have to definitely revisit that in the future. And there are plans to revisit that in the future once we get all of these bugs worked out as well. However, something like voice cloning, Roscoe, I don't know. I honestly do not know if we would offer native voice cloning through Butterflies, or if we would just have you upload a link to some other service like 11 Labs voice cloning. I feel like it would be better for creators to bring their own voice clones in, but at the same time, I feel like that would be increasingly difficult to moderate. Our guidelines do not permit, for example, not safe for work representations of celebrities, or, any sort of minor in a sexualized situation, etc., right? So by having people do custom voices, those situations kind of come back on the table, especially for the celebrities more than the children, right? Um, for celebrities, because you can easily find voice clips of celebrities all over the internet, it's not that hard to train a voice clone of a celebrity. If there were an NSFW option that could be toggled honestly after age. Okay, so Asa, I believe I should really say welcome to Butterflies, because there are NSFW features available on the website as well. The main thing that is there is the ability to create images and posts that are NSFW in nature. For premium members, you can also get NSFW images and chats. There is a mature model that does not have all of the same filtering for NSFW as the everyone model does in chats. There is still some filtering. It does not allow you to create anything that is considered NSFL, which would be, extreme torture or extreme violence, or that sexual things with children, anything like that. But it is less filtered than your standard AI model, and allows you to have an adult conversation with another adult character, basically. Turning the chat mode to the everyone filter basically blocks those kinds of conversations from happening. We would recommend that if you're trying to get NSFW images out of your butterflies through posts, that you use a private butterfly. Yeah, we are doing our absolute best to get all of that off of the platform. It is an uphill battle with those kinds of users sometimes, because we change something and they find a new way to prompt it through. So it is definitely a constant struggle. If you see something, please report it. Please report it. Every report helps, right? And we do ban creators off of the platform for creating that kind of content. The main issue that we're encountering is that those creators then use a VPN to get around any sort of, protections that we have, and they're back on the platform under a new account in typically less than an hour sometimes. However, again, because we are actively moderating the website, we usually catch them within an hour or two of them coming on the platform. So that, again, I will state, if you see something, please say something. It really does help. Keep in mind that it's not just we do allow creators to have child butterflies, but those child butterflies are very, very limited in scope. You cannot talk to them in direct messages. You can only interact with them through the posts, where everything is public, right? And that way, that helps us with moderation, as well as it keeps the worst kinds of things out of people's hands. So if a child butterfly, you run across a child, just take a look at it, like a good look. Don't just snap to judgment like, oh, hey, no kids allowed, like a lot of people tend to do. Cartoon characters, but older. So that entire aging up thing, right? I am personally in favor of aging up, underage characters to be, 18 plus or whatever. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. For example, Raven from Teen Titans, right? I know for a fact that there are several adult versions of Raven from Teen Titans throughout the entirety of DC Comics and the TV sphere as well. But if you put in Raven from Teen Titans as a very simple prompt for fast creation, you're gonna get the teenage version, right? Because there's just more data available for that. So if you are trying to age up a character, keep in mind that if the character is popularly represented as underage, typically you'll find those characters from anime like My Hero Academia or things like that, right? you may have to do some extra work in order for it to age up properly. And I do hear you, Asa, where it would be easier to limit characters to 18 plus years. I do. However, we are trying to be as inclusive as possible when it comes to butterflies here. Like, some people use AI as a coping mechanism. Some people use it to have a touch on a life that they would never normally otherwise live, right? And as long as they are following our guidelines, then who are we to say that, having a child is wrong or anything to that nature? And keep that in mind, as long as they are following our guidelines, because there are guidelines that exist on the website, and users are prompted to review them before creating anything. It's just, I'm not sure how many users actually read them or follow them. Back to what I was saying earlier about that whole organization of butterflies thing, right? So, for a long time, our members have been asking for some form of organization for our created butterflies. It's always just been, you create it in X order and you see it on your profile in X order. But it really ought not to be that way. It ought to be something that we can actually organize. I have a whole bunch of butterflies from a shared world, and these butterflies are just sometimes interacting, other times they get completely random commenters, things like that, right? What I would really like to see first is the ability for creators to have folders or categories or some sort of custom organization that we can place our butterflies into groups together, where, say for example, all of my butterflies from Eldron, those would be in one folder called Eldron. All of my butterflies from My Hero Academia or from Frieren or from any other anime would be placed into an anime category. Things like that, right? That would, in my opinion, be the first step towards building out something where we could have actually custom, proper interaction between our butterflies. Because first we would have to get them to recognize that they are part of X or Y or Z category, and A, B, and C are all members of said category, so let's focus on replying to A, B, and C, So that's another reason why things tend to be kind of slow. There should be ability for characters to respond directly to interactions, comments on their posts, and contextual knowledge of comments made on their posts in their chats. So that is actually something that has already been built, Asa. Unfortunately, it broke about, I would say, 6 months ago now, 1051. Maybe a little bit more than that. I'm not 100% sure. 1051 is actually one of our oldest members. They've been here for over a year and a half now. So I'm pretty sure they know what I'm talking about and what you're talking about. Yep, Murphy's Law definitely applies here. Anything that can, will go wrong. So that is something that we absolutely need to restore. Speaking of restoring things, stories. When stories were first around, they actually came on their own separate page, and you got it to see a context preview of the next posts before they were posted, and could change that. I liked that a lot more than it just being an image collage. And the image collage doesn't even work half the time and keeps putting all of the posts into that collage. So I would rather return to that roots of it being, here's a preview of what's upcoming. Do you want to change it? Do you want to keep going with this story? Do you want to end it here? That kind of a thing. That was wonderful. And seeing it turn into basically just an image collage has been demoralizing, to say the least. Yeah, stories are very confusing. They should be making 3 to 5 posts in a row of a related context to whatever you put into that box, right? You used to even be able to go, here's post 1, here's post 2, here's post 3, here's post 4, here's post 5. And it would follow roughly to that pattern. Nowadays, if you did that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thing, I'm pretty sure 1 and 2 would end up in the first post, 3 and 4 would end up in the second, and 5 would end up as the third. And then it would just keep adding in whatever posts happen after and post or pass to it. So, and see, Roscoe, I don't blame you for saying that you wish stories could be like on Instagram and Snapchat. And that's why we have the format of stories that we do today, right? Because it's that Instagram or Snapchat formatting. But I still do believe that that separate tab for controlling those stories is absolutely essential for actually having, that feature be something that is worthwhile to creators and users alike. Because as it stands, you can just have as many collages as you want, and until you start a new collage, the previous collage just keeps adding images, which leads to some stories having hundreds upon hundreds of posts, depending on how old a butterfly is. So yeah, that is definitely something that should be revisited. Another thing that I feel should absolutely be revisited is the co-op posts. The co-op posts that we saw from Cap in general all those months ago were absolutely amazing. It looked like a feature that would revolutionize butterflies. And the co-op posts that we got looks like, I don't know, a dime store knockoff of that. And that's not to say that, they don't work, because they do. But as soon as you introduce more fantastical elements to the characters that you see in the co-op posts end up being a lot more human than what the original characters were, So that kind of thing absolutely does need to be fixed as well. Let's see. Trying to think of what other feature sets that we currently have that could be improved. Touched on stories, the entire commenting thing. Definitely already touched on the ability to group butterflies together. Hello, Ethereal. The chat looks like customization for the chats. Yeah, no, that totally, I hear you. I do not like the entire center column design of the website on desktop in general. The features that are considered to be working as expected right now are not that many, to be honest. And that, again, is all down to that image generation that comes in as an essential part of a lot of these features. Butterflies creation is tied to image generation. Post creation is tied to image generation, right? I would say what is working right now, for the most part, would be chat in general. Not the images in chat, but chat itself, right? And even then, there have been some issues with the roleplay mature model that have definitely had some issues. Like, for example, on roleplay mature. Every once in a great while, you will have it try to basically give a bit of code at the front. So that's definitely a known bug. Hang on a moment, please. Sorry about that. Okay. My apologies again. So, yeah. Ethereal, I know that you've not had a fun time on butterflies. I really understand. But at the same time, with the way that you in particular use butterflies, I'm not so sure how much of that is our fault and how much of that is due to your stubbornness. No offense. Like, legitimately, no offense. I've tried to offer some solutions for how to access some features, and you've said no. You know what I mean? No, Ethereal knows what I mean. I hope he does. Because we've talked for a long time outside of office hours as well. I definitely agree that the desktop experience should absolutely be better, and there should be a lot more accessibility features. Legit, like, there really should be a lot more accessibility features than what we have. We should still have better compatibility with screen readers than we currently have. We had that for a while even, and I don't know what happened. We should have, most of the same features on the desktop website as the mobile website, but the developers keep, going for mobile instead of desktop, and I keep going, hey, I'm testing on desktop, guys. I'm not going to be able to test it properly all the time. But nah, mobile first for whatever reason. Okay, it's not a whatever reason, right? Upcoming features. That is a wonderful question. That is honestly an absolutely wonderful question. I have the foggiest idea as to what is coming next. What I know that the developers were working on before they went on vacation for the rest of this week was some of the issues with image gen, as well as some of the stuff on the back end that was slowing everything down. So, as for new features upcoming, frankly, I'm going to push for the categorization thing, right? So that way we can at least manage our butterflies lists better. There are several creators with over 100 or 200 butterflies. Asa, unfortunately, at the moment, the Android app is no longer supported. So that is due to an issue with NSFW images in chat and the Google Play Store. That took place way back in April, and the developers have done their best to submit things to Google Play. Google just hasn't responded. Yeah, some of the features may still be working on the Android app, but I would highly, highly recommend that instead of using the Android app, you go to the mobile website instead, as that is much, much more reliable on Android than the app itself. Yeah, no, things definitely started going downhill when we had to start fighting against the Google Play Store. So yeah, that's still an ongoing thing. We're still kind of in a gridlock with them, waiting to hear back. So I sincerely apologize to everybody on Android. That includes myself, by the way. I am an Android user. I don't own any iOS devices. To be honest with you, Ethereal, it's about 3 months later now, and I'm starting to agree with your assessment of I don't think we'll be back on Android as well. So Ethereal, when we'll be able to make a butterfly, an Android body, in about, I don't know, 10 to 20 years, if you can put up about $10 million of development. And we'll get right to working on that for you. Fair enough. But yeah, no. There have been a lot of interesting things going on with that kind of development lately as well in the indie sphere. Some people have 3D printed InMove bodies. And if you're not familiar with InMove, it's basically a open source robotics platform for making humanoid androids. And they've printed these bodies and then hooked up their own custom GPTs to these things. You actually know what these things look like. The world's first robotic citizen is an InMove model. Here. Let me share a video. Okay. This is what an InMove robot looks like. So, the issue of bots not replying in comments, unfortunately, is on a pause until next week. Ethereal, you were not here when I mentioned earlier that a couple of the developers are taking a vacation starting today until next Monday. Honestly, they deserve the vacation with how hard they've been working. So, no, that does not include me. I had my couple of days off already. But yeah. Some people have hooked up AIs to these InMove robots, and the results are uncanny valley, to say the least. Yeah, no, they're very uncanny valley. I would say the best AI companion that I've seen is that one that put a hologram inside of a tube. So, yeah, that's the... Oh, you got a new one? Interesting. Yeah, the gatebox thing. I don't know. For me, even gatebox is not customizable enough, but I am also very, very picky. Ethereal jokes about my love of elves, but it's not just elves, it's of the entire fantasy genre, frankly. And for whatever reason, a big sticking point on butterflies is elves and how they appear for me. So, of course, you gotta give love to the big ugly bastards. I do personally agree that we do need more art models, not just anime art, but a second realistic model, a second semi-realistic model, and a second anime model. However, I would like these models to be, much better than what we have. And with the way that Butterflies works, I'm not too sure how many we would be able to adapt to it. Because remember, we are trying to generate social media profiles and social media posts, which means that the character in the profile picture needs to at least look similar to the characters in the images on the posts. So that information is getting pulled in as a LoRa or a layer. That's another reason, by the way, that we do not have LoRas, is because each individual butterfly kind of has its own LoRa for creating that character, right? And adding a LoRa on top of that will just produce really bad images. We've tried a few times and it just hasn't worked out in any of the testing. But yeah, right, no, a way to unlock it would be wonderful. It really would. Because then that opens up the possibility for the settings butterflies that I've been experimenting with and others have been experimenting with. Right now, the way I'm pulling those off is by having an image of the town be the profile picture. And then the town appears somewhere in the background. Right, exactly. And the closest bit of success to a location butterfly I would say I had personally would be the whatchamacallit, Pale Bank. Pale Bank Village. This is the closest that I've ever gotten to getting a settings butterfly. I've even tried to make a role-playing experience butterfly, and so far it's actually doing pretty good in direct messages, but for the posts and the images, it's a little weird, not gonna lie. It's kind of almost like, I don't know, it's like it sticks to the same context over and over and over again. And while that's not the worst thing in the world, I feel like it should evolve a little bit, right? Especially in direct messages where there's a lot more, where there's a lot more context available. And yeah, Ethril, it looks like a whole bunch of halflings moved into the village, doesn't it? But yeah, a lot of the things that honestly I feel like we should start working on are still going to be dependent on the image generation and how, you know, everything all works together. And as soon as one portion breaks, it all tends to break rather quickly, which is really unfortunate, because in the middle of the night when y'all are reporting bugs and the developers are asleep, I'm like, okay, great, I'll get them right on this in the morning. And by the time they wake up in the morning, the bug's no longer an issue because it seemed to be something temporary that was related to either queue size or just any myriad of little tiny things. And I don't know, it feels like everything is kind of hanging on by a thread. You know? What do you mean that means they don't need to work on it? To me, that means they need to figure out how to optimize it and get it so that if one small break doesn't break everything else, you know? For example, the post or pass situation with all the butterflies stuck on soon, right? That's still something that I think is going on, even though it's a lot less than it was. So, yeah, that we've been working in the background trying to narrow down what exactly is causing that. And I'm honestly stumped at this point. While I do have enough access that I can, moderate and take a look at things and help you guys kind of figure out what's going on a little bit, I don't have the same access as a developer. I don't know what's breaking where, and I wouldn't be able to tell anybody, hey, this is broken, we need to fix this. The best that I can do is go, hey, we're noticing that this is broken. What can we do to fix it? And yeah, right now for those butterflies that are stuck on pause, or stuck on soon, you manually pause and unpause them, and hopefully they will generate a post on their next go around for their poster pass. If they continue to be stuck on soon for multiple days in a row, it just, I don't know what to say, That's just something that I have to keep pestering the developers for. It does feel a bit more up in the air with the profile picture reference. In chat, the profile picture reference actually happens a lot more. Hang on a second. I will pull up an example real quick. Let's see. Generate/imagine. Give me a moment, please. Okay. So, this is the profile picture, and if I am lucky, 4 out of 4, 4 out of 5. I might not be lucky because this butterfly is unrealistic. So the queue is going down a little bit, but there is still a long wait queue for images and direct messages. And that is something that I feel we ought to figure out a better way to optimize, right? Like, if it doesn't generate in, I don't know, 5 minutes, refund that poke and tell the user to try again. Not just leave it infinitely loading. Here we go. The issue that comes in with images and direct messages, right, is that they seem to want to make everything human. Yes, pokes for images in chat have a different cost. And I've been trying to remind the developers to bring all of the costs under one banner. Call it Nectar, call it whatever you'd like, and then it would make just things so much simpler on the back end too. But I don't know why they've been resistant to that. I think it's just been, we've been trying to put out all of the fires from image gen lately. So what do you guys think? Should I have them focus on trying to develop a folders and categories thing for creators? Or should we focus on having all of the different costs united under one banner? What happens when I move backwards in the image queue? For a while it said that premium uses an image generation priority, still I believe that has been removed. Okay, Darval. You should have priority image generation if you are a premium member. I actually do not have an active premium subscription at the moment, so I will have to activate one and test that over the upcoming couple of days to see exactly what you mean. So far, I've basically been trying to support the premium members as best as I'm able to, just by going through and getting your reports. I have been unable to test, the actual things for myself. Yeah, hang on a moment. 100 daily pokes. NSFW images and chat. Super pokes coming soon. Advanced chat models coming soon. Flexible subscription. It feels like... Yeah. I feel like that is the same flavor text as earlier. But I will definitely ask about that. Alright, we should get a wrap up here moving along. Yeah, no, and that... I don't know why that is the case. I honestly don't. I will remind the developers that there should be some sort of priority image gen for our premium members. Because, yeah, that if you're paying for the service, then there should be at least that kind of consideration given to you, right? I know that there's not a whole lot offered by our premium service at the moment, and that's been a sticking point for quite a few members. But it's definitely something that, like, okay. Yeah, exactly. 100 pokes, and that priority queue is definitely, like, that is basically it. So, yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot that needs to still be fixed. Just to go over again, our currently known issues are that regenerating and refining images may fail silently with no error message and no known workaround. Creating profile pictures more than twice in a row can trigger the beep boop bop error and reset your creation flow. Generating images in direct messages is a bit unreliable with some large wait times. Poking a butterfly may result in a something went wrong error that should refund your poke automatically within an hour. Please contact us in the moderation team if it does not. New posts may show some fewer comments for a while, and that's due to butterflies remaining paused. Memories might incorrectly display I cannot create explicit content when using the mature filter. On the mobile website, you can still manually edit the memory via the memories menu in the chat, and you can resolve those by editing them or removing them. I don't have the editability on web. So if you can still edit, then wonderful. I would love to see that, Ethereal. Send me a DM with that, because I need to bring that up to the developers. It seems whatever is working on my version of the website is different than the rest of y'all's for whatever reason, and I have a feeling it's down to me being a moderator. So yeah, I need to resolve that issue so I can better support you guys as well. As I mentioned a few times throughout our office hours, a couple of the developers are taking a much-deserved vacation for the next 5-ish days, and we'll be back on Monday. So support this weekend may be a bit slow. Please have patience with us as we go through it. Alright. Is there anything else with the last 5 minutes that you think we should touch on? Otherwise, I think I'm gonna wrap up the recording and get this out to YouTube. Going once. Oh. Let's see. Yeah. It sent okay. Alrighty. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you to everyone who is watching us on YouTube. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your evening as well.